Hi everyone and welcome to the Unscripted Family Legacy Stories video. I'm a little nervous about doing this unscripted because I feel like I ramble a lot, but I love rambly videos when I watch YouTube, especially BookTube. I'm going to try it out and see what happens. I just wanted to check in first to see how your Roots Tech March Madness Challenge was going. And so far, I've really enjoyed all of the videos, and I'm almost done. I have one video left, and I feel like I know who the winner is, but I'm curious to see where you're at, so feel free to post your March Madness pics in our social media, and we'll be able to spotlight them. I really want to see that because I want to see everybody else's feedback on the March Madness Challenge and how it's going for you, and also if there's any classes that I would like to watch. I think that would be really fun. So today, like I said, is an unscripted video about the Read Everything on Your Bookshelf Challenge. And I'm looking at my bookshelves right now, and that's kind of overwhelming. But the reason why I'm doing that, and I'm doing it kind of a little late, I know a lot of people do this at the beginning of the year, but I just realized I was in a new bookstore recently and I wanted to buy books. And the thought that kept coming back to me was I have so many books on my bookshelf that I would like to read. And so that is why I'm doing this Read Everything on Your Bookshelf Challenge. So I think it'll be really fun. So the goal that I have for Read Everything on Your Bookshelf Challenge is pretty simple. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick 8 books to put on my March Madness bracket, and then I'm going to read those and match them up together to see who the final winner is. Kind of the parameters around that is that I want to pick as many books from a different genre. So that's one thing I'm going to do. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find all the books about family, which is pretty easy to do because I have a lot of books surrounding that. So today I'm going to look through all of my books on my bookshelf. I'm going to share them with you. I'm also going to be showing you a before and an after of my office and what it looked like. About a year ago, I redid my entire office, and I would love to show you that video where it was very sparse and I started out really simple and slow. To give you a little context, I read 100 books last year, and it was a really fun experiment. That took about 3 years to be able to read 100 books in 1 year, if that makes sense, because I wasn't reading at that speed. I'm a pretty slow reader, and so I thought that would be a really good goal, but it did take me almost 3 years to try and to accomplish, so I'm really proud of that goal. But what that created was I felt very like I had a book hangover from it, and I haven't been reading a lot lately, and so I thought putting my books on the March Madness bracket sheet would really help me to be able to get back into reading. And so I've chosen 8 books today to be able to do that. But first I want to be able to show you my before and my after of my office. I want you to see if you could spot all of the family books that are on my bookshelves, and I would love to hear suggestions in the comments below on what ones I can read next, or recommendations that maybe not have been on my bookshelf that you would recommend to me. So just let me know. So those are my bookshelves. Hopefully you enjoyed looking at them. So without further ado, these are the ones that I picked for my March Madness bracket sheet, and I'm going to see which ones that I like the best for this March. So let me share with you what they are. So I picked a couple of them from different genres. So I wanted to pick a nonfiction book. I wanted to pick a middle grade. I'm really getting into middle grade lately. I wanted to pick something that has to do with art or illustration because I would like to write or draw or illustrate a family legacy book one day, and I would love to see and get inspiration from that. So I picked one book from that genre. I also picked a book that someone recommended to me that they thought that I would like and enjoy, and so I'm including that one in my recommendations. I'm also picking a book about time travel because I'm a big fan of time travel. Like I mentioned in my other videos that you can watch, is that I feel like family history is essentially traveling back in time, and so I love a good time travel book. So I have one of those that I picked. I also have included books that are on my TBR currently that I haven't read yet and that I have shown to you on these YouTube channels. So I have a couple of those. And I also have one book that I would love to reread again because it's about a father-daughter relationship and it has to do with maps. So I'm really excited about those picks. So without further ado, let me share with you what I picked. So the first book that I picked is Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. If you don't know who Brené Brown is, please go check out her books. She is a psychologist and researcher, and she has written a lot of things about shame and about different ways we can handle our family trauma. Really good book. So Daring Greatly, I'll read the synopsis really quickly. Every day we experience the uncertainty, risks, and emotional exposure that define what it means to be vulnerable or to dare greatly. Based on 12 years of pioneering research, Dr. Brené Brown dispels the culture myth that vulnerability is weakness and argues that it is, in truth, our most accurate measure of courage. Yes, I failed to mention she's all about vulnerability. If you haven't heard of her, all of her stuff is good. I've only had the opportunity to read one other thing, and I have all of her other books on my TBR. This book I wanted to read mostly because I would like to learn how to be more vulnerable. I feel that vulnerability is essential, especially if you're creating art, and you have to be open and you have to be transparent and honest. And I feel like this book will help me be able to express that. So I'm excited about this book. The next book that I have is James Herriot, All Creatures Great and Small. This book was recommended to me by my mom. She loves this series, and I had read this a long time ago when I was littler, and I would love to read this. There's also a PBS version of this. I would love to watch the series on this, but this has to do with family. He is a vet, and he takes care of animals in England, and I would just love to read it again. Also, I feel like your pets are your family, and so I love reading books about pets and about animals. So I'm excited to read this. It's a little thicker than I realized. So we'll see if I get to reading it all in March, but I'm hoping I will. That is All Creatures Great and Small. Excited to read this one. The next book on my list is an illustrative nonfiction, which is writing picture books. I always wanted to learn how to do this. I find myself in the library wanting to look at children's books just as much as adult books. I love seeing how artists can capture feeling and ideas just through drawings, and so I would like to learn how to do this. So what this says is the Master of Art Writing Enthralling Tales for the Youngest Emerging Readers. Fully updated and thoroughly revised Writing Picture Books Revised and Expanded Edition is the go-to resource for writers crafting stories for children ages 2 to 8. You'll learn the unique set of skills it takes to bring your story to life by using tightly focused text and leaving room for the illustrator to be creative. Very excited about this one. Although I would think that they would have examples of pictures in here. That's the one thing that I wish they had, but I need to read it first. So I will give you my review once I'm done reading it. Excited about this one. The next book on my list is a middle grade. I just started getting into middle grade about a year ago, and the reason why I hadn't read middle grade in the past is because I thought I couldn't. I thought, well, I'm an adult. I shouldn't be able to read those. And once I came into the reading world and on BookTube, I realized you don't have to be a kid to be able to enjoy middle grade. I really, really love middle grade. So this one is called The Book of Lost Things. Love the cover of this one. This one has just a lot of illustrations. I don't know if you can see that. And typography. Beautiful cover. High in his attic bedroom, 12-year-old David mourns the death of his mother with only the books on his shelf for company. But those books have begun to whisper to him in the darkness, angry and alone. He takes refuge in his imagination and soon finds the reality and fantasy has begun. David is violently propelled into a world that is a strange reflection of his own, populated by heroes and monsters and ruled by a fated king who keeps his secrets in a mysterious book, the Book of Lost Things. Doesn't that sound so good? Doesn't that sound like you can be an adult and read it? Such a silly thing. It's so silly what we create as roadblocks in order to read. You don't have to be a little kid to read middle grade. You can be an adult. It's really fun. So I've got 4 books left from my bookshelf that I would like to read in March, but now I'm getting intimidated because look how many books there are. So we will see how far we get. But we can hope for good things with this, right? All right, this is the next book. This is called The Cartographers. This is a reread for me. I read this last year, and it's basically about a father and daughter relationship and having to do with maps. I love a good mystery. I love a good relationship dynamic in a book. And so this was really good, but I felt when I read it, it was in the middle of my challenge to read 100 books that year, and so I felt like this one got rushed a little bit. So let me read what it says. From the critically acclaimed author of the book M, a highly imaginative thriller about a young woman who discovers that a strange map in her deceased father's belongings holds an incredible, deadly secret, one that will lead her on an extraordinary adventure and to the truth about her family's dark history. Love this. And I love the cover as well. It's got really bright illustrations. It's just, isn't it beautiful? I love a good, beautiful book. Sometimes I'll just buy books just because what they look like. And they can be art pieces in your home. They can make a statement. So I really enjoy when they have a good cover. The next book that I'm going to be reading is This Time Tomorrow. Again, awesome cover. You can still see it. I love the typography. I love all the different, this has gold like lines in here. Very beautiful. So what This Time Tomorrow is about is on the eve of her 14th birthday, Alice's life isn't terrible. She likes her job, even if it isn't exactly the one she expected. She's happy with her apartment, her romantic status, and her independence, and she adores her lifelong best friend. But something is missing. Her father, the single parent who raised her, an alien and out of reach. How did they get here so fast? Did she take too much for granted along the way? So this is the time travel book, and excited about this one. So I can't wait to share with you what it's about. Okay, so the next book should look really familiar. I've already highlighted this in a past video, but I will review it again here. I'm about a quarter way into the book currently, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but I couldn't really get into it, to be honest, and I'll tell you why later in an upcoming review. But I still love the cover, love a good cover, and I'm liking the characters for the most part so far. But let me tell you what it's about in case you haven't seen the other video. But it says, when Jerry, the beloved patriarch of the Williams family, dies suddenly, his grandchildren flock from across the country to the family home in Georgia, But when Jerry's best friend steps up to the microphone to deliver his eulogy, the funeral turns out unlike anyone expected. And that is true. I was shocked by what was said at the funeral of this and how the relationships unfold because of this circumstance. So it has some pretty lively characters in this one, so I'm excited to finish it, but we'll see how far I get, because so far there's some unlikely characters that are not my favorite, but I'm going to continue to read this and see how it goes. Okay, and so the next one looks familiar as well. This is called The Book of Boundaries. I'm almost done with this book, and so far I've loved every chapter, every word, and I've learned so much from this, but I have to return it to the library. In fact, it's late, so good thing my library doesn't have late fees. But I need to take this back as soon as possible and finish this up, so I can also review this on an upcoming video with you, because it's really powerful, lots of great tools. And I've cheated a little bit, but I feel like I have this big stack of books. It's not really cheating if you're doing your own challenge and making up your own rules, right? So that's how I look at it. So those are my picks, and I hope that you have found this enjoyable. So please like and subscribe below so you can see upcoming content just like this. Also, we have fun challenges that you can be a part of that have to do with family history and books and writing. So I hope that you take the time to like and subscribe so that I can continue doing these videos. It's been a real treat to be able to look at all the books on my bookshelf, and I'm now excited to get reading them. Usually I have this idea where I feel like I want to buy more books, and this exercise has allowed me to say I have my own home library that I can take advantage of and use throughout the year. So I'm excited to be able to read those books and be able to share them with you later in upcoming videos. So friends, thanks for joining me on this challenge. I hope to see you real soon. Bye.